Facebook, what up, people? What's happening? It's your boy. I'm back on the set. Um, First, let me say good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is. Hope y'all enjoying your day so far today. Had a really long day yesterday. Waiting on some things to unfold from that. I was talking to a few people, and we decided that we need to start talking about having some um, meetup groups. And I don't mean party groups. I don't mean get high groups. I don't mean hang out getting drunk groups. I'm talking about support groups, groups that we can come together and help each other, encourage each other, build on some things. Who knows? Business may come from it, whatever the case may be. But we want to start thinking about that. So please, inbox, write in the comments. Let's get this started. Let's talk about some meetup groups so we can help our people. Like we have plenty of issues that we have to deal with every day, and sometimes you just need a little help. So we want to start talking about that. So the meetup groups sound really, really good. Yeah, the support groups. That's right, Rebecca. That's what we want to. We have to actually put effort into healing ourselves. If we don't start to heal ourselves, we'll never get over some things. And there's things that we all have to deal with on different levels. And what bothers me may not be as bothering or troubling to you, but at the same time, you may have some things to deal with that too. So, um, yes, I do. What's your question, Aisha? She sent a question in there. So, yeah, we all need a shoulder to lean on. Yeah, I'm so down. Okay, and again, this is why I started these videos. This is why I started a lot of wanting to share my walk and my travel, my journey with people. Because I got mad love for y'all, and I know y'all have love for me too, those that know me. But we want to step up a little bit. Let's take it to the next level. Let's find out what it is that we can do to help people, and how we're going to move forward as a people. We have to learn to step outside the box, and sometimes we just have to say, "Listen, I just need somebody to talk to." Even if I don't give you my problem, just to tell you, listen, I'm just not feeling good today. I'm just not so happy today. Can you take me away from what's going on in my life in this moment and help me move forward? So that's the kind of stuff we want to talk about, and get these groups together. I want to repeat this and reiterate this as much as possible. I don't want to create a group that's just about us having a party and hanging out. That is not what I'm trying to do. If you want to do that at other times, that's fine. But I have tons of people who come to me that have some things that they're dealing with, and some troubled things that's bothering them, and they just want to get together with like-minded people and try to figure their way through some of these things. So I definitely want to do that, and see if we can help out. Let me read this question real quick. So I want to ask you, do you align with black women issues? Black women have issues that are very specific to black women, but they get drowned out because they're not relevant to black men. We don't support. What are your thoughts since we're talking about that? Okay, now here's the great question. Here's my take on it. I am a realist, and I understand a lot of times black men don't, and not just black men, but I'm just saying men in general. We don't uh, take we don't take the substance of women's issues and conversations to heart. And there's a lot to say about that. First of all, we don't really know how to. And I'm not looking for excuses. I'm just speaking, just being as blunt as I can. A lot of times we don't have the necessary tools, or we don't know how to utilize the tools we have to get into what your problems are. And 9 times out of 10, we're so busy fighting internal problems that we don't have the moment to think about how in depth your problem is. And it may seem really small to us, but be specific to black men, not men in general, referring to the men in the community. Okay, black men. I'm a black man, so I'm gonna stay from my standpoint. Let's just say for me. A lot of times, I personally have internal issues that supersede anything that's coming next. So it doesn't mean that your things are not important to me, but sometimes it's hard for me to get outside of my box in order for me to get into what it is that's bothering you. A lot of times we don't have the tools, black men, we don't have the tools, or don't know how to utilize those tools to actually get to understanding where you're coming from. And that's a lot of times why we miss that mark. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times the understanding or the lack of understanding of the hows and whys becomes a major issue. And I'm using myself as an example because I've struggled with that for so long, not having the ability to say, hey, listen, I can't really get out of my cage to tap into what you're dealing with. So this is what a lot of the issue is. And this is again why I started doing these videos, because we have to talk about these things or we never get past them. So for me, I have to talk about what I go through, my walk, so that allows me to understand what I'm dealing with and even get feedback from other people so that I can move forward with my thing and help inspire others to move forward with their thing. So I hope I answered your question, but this is why I want to do these meetup groups, so that it's not just men talking, it's not just women talking, but when are you going to get the tools? Now, come on. Here's the thing. Let's just be the first thing we have to do is acknowledge what tools we're lack the ability to use, or that we don't have, we can't comprehend how to use them. It doesn't mean we're not built that way, but a lot of times we are not. A lot of times we don't have an understanding of how to deal with some issues that pertain to black women, because we can't even deal with the issues that pertain to black men. This is a lot of problem with most relationships, not just male and female relationships, but family relationships, men and children relationships. All of these things are a great part of our lives that we don't understand how to really deal with that. And we can talk about upbringing. We can talk about all of this post slaves, and we talk about all of these things. All these things are true factors. But the number one thing is that we have to take the moment to understand that, listen, I don't know how to do this. You know what I'm saying? And men, we normally do two things. We either get frustrated and flip out, or we close up because we don't have those tools or don't know how to utilize those tools. Now, we can ask and say, okay, well, I'm going to work on those tools. It doesn't happen that naturally. It has to come to a point where you, as a man, decide, okay, I've had enough of this life. Some people take them 50 years. You know what I'm saying? Depending on their walk of life. Not saying that's good or bad, but this is what it is. I saw them at the age of 18, mainly my man Jesse. Now, slow down, because we jumping on a lot of topics. Facebook will cut us off. I've heard first it was like maybe 4 out of 5 women, or something like that, have been sexually assaulted, and that's been black men. A lot of times, 90-something% of those times, if you check the statistics, those men have been sexually assaulted. Those men have been previously assaulted, whether it was female or male. And these are a lot of the issues that we need to talk about in the community. Most these things are learned behaviors. Nobody wakes up and decides they're going to assault somebody. Let's get that plain. Nobody wakes up and today I'm going to assault somebody just because there's something that clicked. There's something that happened. I'm learning more about my post-traumatic stress disorder every day, and I notice that when I go act a certain way, something triggers it. So it's not necessarily something just happened that day, but something from the past, something in my past, triggered me to respond in a way that may not have been the best. I've severed relationships, plenty of different relationships, with that same notion, because again, we don't take the moment to understand the why. You know what I'm saying? Nothing happens just because it's going to happen. It rains because there's a storm somewhere. There's some kind of mixture in the climate that causes the rain. You know what I'm saying? I just asked you about black women. You didn't answer. You instantly defended. Okay, Aisha, slow down. Think about this. I'm doing a live video. I'm trying to read your footage and everybody else's, your messages and everybody else. I'm not trying to redirect your question, but we started off talking about black men and their responses to women's issues, and then you went to something else. So you got to kind of give me a moment, because I got to be able to put all that in the right perspective. I don't want you to think that I don't want to answer your question, but this is another reason why I want to start talking about these support groups, because you're not the only person who wants to talk about these things. I like to talk about it from my end. You know what I'm saying? I like to figure out what is that we do as men and don't do as men, and then what do women do, and women some of the things that they don't do to help along with some processes. It's community. It's far bigger than just man and woman, because there's children here too, and there's other aspects to the dynamics too. So we got to work one thing at a time. I'm trying to read some of this. When people desire to change and open up, we have to allow grace and room for them. Absolutely, absolutely. When people, here's the thing: there's no such thing as perfect, and we have to remember that everybody has an appointed time for them to do whatever it is that they're going to do. You may find out at 5 years old you're ready to do something. Somebody might not find out till they're 45. Does that make that person less valuable than the other person? No. There's just, oh, that's their walk of life. I have to walk my walk just like everybody else does. So what we have to do is get on your walk and then find out how do you make that better. And this is why I started with these videos, because I want to make me better. I want to be a better me. I'm trying to correct my faults. And if it can inspire others, which it has been, because I've been getting feedback every day, and I'm very grateful for that. But it's inspiring others to want to do what they can do. I encourage everybody who's on this feed right now to move forward. Try to get with what it is you're dealing with, and put it out there if you want to talk about it. Find out who can help you understand what's happening, get different perspectives from other people. This is what this is about, so you're responding to my question, but you deflated. You feel like you acknowledge the black man and sexually assaulted black women on a heavy level. I was saying, I'm a little confused. Okay. Let me say this first. I've never been, me personally, I've never been arrested for assaulting a black woman, or any woman for that matter, a child, anything. I've never been arrested for hitting a woman or abusing a woman. I've not been on a certain aspect of that. So there's certain parts of that I can't explain, and I won't even begin, because I can't comprehend some of those things. But what I'm trying to add, what I want to do is say this. There are learned behaviors in everyone's life. Everything that you do is a learned behavior. This isn't something you just woke up and decided this is what you're going to do and it becomes a pattern. It's a learned behavior. You are one man that has never been arrested for assault. Aisha, young lady, I'm not trying to get into a debate with you, because I don't want you to take things in the wrong way. I'm just saying that I can only speak from that aspect, because that's where I'm at. Now, had I been arrested, or if I've done some of those things, then I can respond from another end of it. But I don't have that luxury to come from that end, because I've never been there. That's why I was saying that. So I can't speak about things that I've never encountered from my personal. Then I'd be actually fabricating something, or trying to put definition to something that I totally don't understand. So I'm not running from your question. And it doesn't prove anything other than that is not who I am as a person. I'm not an assaulter. I'm not a sexual assaulter. I'm not a sexual predator. None of those things are for me. So I can't really answer those questions from that side. So please forgive me for not having those answers, but I don't. And I don't want to run you off, but I'm just saying from my perspective, from my understanding is, even with that, there's still some learned behaviors. When you study and you do some research, you find out that these are things that has happened to some people, and this is why it seems to be okay for them to do some things. In one of my videos I recorded prior to this video, I said that people do things regularly, good and bad, and it seems to be normal, but it's not normal. It's just regular. For instance, I'll give you a prime example. A crackhead is not normal. It's not normal to see somebody strung out on a narcotic. However, it is a regular thing that you see. Just like with someone who assaults people. Someone who would assault somebody and do it consistently, they may be a regular thing with them, but that's not normal. It's not normal to see people like that. You see what I'm saying? I'm telling you about a major issue. Open up a discussion about issues in the black community. Okay, and that's cool. I got you. I'm just trying to say, certain things. If somebody else can chime in on it, that'd be great. I can't answer from one side of the spectrum because I have no knowledge about that other than something that I may have read or a way that I may feel about it. So that's the only reason why I responded like that. But again, this is why I want to start these support groups, because I believe a lot of women and men alike need to talk about some of these things. You see what I'm saying? Because we have to find a way in our community to work through some of these challenges. And a lot of times we can't. Thank you so much, Melissa. Yes, it's really a struggle, and it becomes. We are speaking about PTSD as well. There's a few things on there. Peace, Chance. Peace, God. There's a few things that we have covered in this conversation. There's a young lady that's asked some questions that are some major questions about some things that's going on in our community. I really want y'all to help me come together and talk about these, getting these support groups. It is really a major thing for us to have support groups. The young lady has some questions that are valid questions that need to be answered, and I feel like she needs to talk to some other people, not just me, because I'm not a specialist on some of these things, and I can only come from one side of the spectrum. Some of these things I haven't been through. Yes, I want to, and again, with me being a black male, a black man, there are things that black women need to talk about amongst black women. I want to address this really quick. She asked me what I will be talking about. We'll be asking questions. She's asking me about, we're going to say some things that align with the black women issues. And here's my thing. I was brought up in the Nation of Islam, and some discussions are for men only, and some discussions are for women only. And there's some things that women need to discuss amongst other women, and things that men need to discuss amongst other men. Of course, we can put that together and talk about some things as well, but we have to address them in a manner that is acceptable. Yeah, especially you know. So Aisha, I'm kind of confused. I feel like you kind of asking me questions, and then I'm not answering the way you want, and then you're responding in maybe a negative kind of way. That's not what this is for. I'm no specialist, and I'm never claimed to be so. I'm just sharing my journey with everybody and hoping that other people can be inspired from that. And I do apologize that I cannot answer your questions the way that you need them to be answered. But again, I would have to be a specialist to do so I can do it in a manner that makes it comfortable for you or work for you. I'm not speaking for the majority of the community. Do you hold abusive black men accountable? Do again, let's save some of those questions like that for some community meetup groups and not for a live feed. And the reason I'm saying is because we need that's a community issue, not just a one man issue. That is something that the community. Thank you so much, Rebecca. There's a lot of things that the community needs to talk about and share together so we can find solutions for these things. There are major things going on in our community that we need to discuss, and I really appreciate you chiming in. However, I don't want to cut you short or half answer your questions or appear to be half answering them, because I don't have the luxury to come from both sides. So, negative because I'm no. I'm saying I don't. That's why I want to have these groups so that it doesn't appear to be that way. I'm not saying that they are negative, but they can be perceived that way. Again, it's just typing versus being able to hear your response or see your body language. So forgive me for that, but this is why I want to start creating these support groups. And even if you're not in Charlotte, you can still create one in your area where you are and collectively get people together so that we can find a way to help our community. Our community is hurting. You see what I'm saying? And we have to find a way collectively to fix these things. We can't, one person is going to do it. Collectively, we have to do it. We have to find out what these problems are and find a way to talk about them without getting upset, without getting frustrated, and deal with them. There's probably a 90-something% of people, in the high 90% of people that deal with PTSD don't even know they have PTSD. If you've been assaulted in some kind of way, if you've seen an assault in some kind of way, there's some things that you've gone through, they don't even know that they deal with PTSD. So how do we address those things when these people don't even understand what they're dealing with? It took me 2 decades to figure out this is what I've been dealing with. I've been in my own way for 2 decades, a little over now. What is that saying? You see what I'm saying? So how much further did I push myself back to miss life? And this is why I'm sharing my journey, because I want to inspire others to do so. You can do it. Every one of you that's on this feed right now, you can do it. You can be better right in this moment. Just start. Just start. I addressed this yesterday or the day before. The physics of you walking, just to walk. What happens with that is your head has to move first in order for your body to catch up to it. That's physics. That's physics. Think about that for a minute. Your head has to lean forward and then your body catches up to it. What is that saying? When you put it in your mind, you can find a way to follow through with the rest that you need to do. You understand what I'm saying? But it starts here. It starts here. And we have to address that. We have polluted our minds with TV, with radio, and foolishness. I've done it. I mean, I don't do the trap rap and reality TV shows. I hate it. But we do these things. And when you start to remove those things, when you take that veil off, things become clearer. And then you can start taking those initial steps to move forward. And that's what we have to do. Until then, we are going to continue in the same rut. They say history repeats itself. You know why? Because nothing changes. We have our ancestors praying for decades, hundreds of years. And what do we do? You understand what I'm saying? What did we do? I'm not telling you don't pray, but what do you do? You know what I'm saying? The battlefield is always in mind. Absolutely. Absolutely. Your first battle is your mind. Once you take control of your thoughts, once you start to process your thoughts differently, which I'm doing now, things start to happen for you. They start to happen for you. But you have to program yourself. You have to constantly work on that. Why? Because you've been programmed. You have been programmed. So you have to deprogram it and then move forward with that. You know what I'm saying? Yes, the mind creates our reality. Absolutely. Absolutely. When you use what you have, you can change the dynamics of any situation. You can change the dynamics, how you approach a situation, how you're dealing in that situation, and then on the inside, on the end result of that conversation, you will be in control of that. But it starts in the mind. Every action begins with a thought. Yeah, that's right, Rebecca. Every single action. So listen, man, let's get together and talk about these support groups. Let's do some meeting up. And don't have to be at somebody's house. I mean, the weather's nice. We can go to the park. We can go to Broadwalk. You know what I'm saying? We can go to the library. We can go to coffee shops. We have to do that. You see what I'm saying? Called post-traumatic slave syndrome. Yes, post-traumatic slave syndrome is serious. I was talking to my dad the other day. My dad did security for Malcolm X. I was talking to my dad, and we talked about some things. There's a beauty in a lot of these different things that come into play when we start talking about post-traumatic slave syndrome. The idea is not so much of having a slave mentality, but what do you do knowing that as a slave there was some things embedded in you that you don't even realize today. There's some things that you do as your ancestors were slaves, being a descendant of former slaves. Some things that you do naturally now that still points back to them. And people can say till they blue in the face, oh, that was back then. But I tell you what, if you look at this real simple, this is proof to you that it still works today. If you look at Roots, let's just take that for example, because everybody's familiar with Roots. You watch Roots. The African never called himself a nigger. Everybody else called themselves a nigger. And then the African said what? He started to call them nigger. He said, no, I'm not a nigger. I'm Mandingo. I'm a Mandingo warrior. I'm from this tribe. Yet and still, the ones that were born here in slavery called themselves nigger. What do you do today? You still say nigger. And it's okay. It's okay to be called that. That's part of that slave syndrome. See what I'm saying? You have to look in depth with that. Now, I know they're going to get on me about this Alex Haley thing. I don't care about what he wrote. I'm talking about the concepts of the things that he put in the movie. Because those things are reality. They're realistic. You have to take it. Yeah, Facebook going to cut me off soon. Be quiet. You have to take it for what it's worth. You know what I'm saying? You have to take it for what it's worth. So, again, let's get it with these groups. Inbox me. Let's start some group. Don't put me in no Facebook group that's going to be talking about a bunch of garbage. You know, don't add me in these groups. Fix your life, and then you be all you. Next, you know, they talking about, you know, grown people's getting together, hanging out, and doing whatever. I don't want to be in that. Let's talk about some real productive groups. Let's talk about some things that's really going to help us step up in our community. Let's talk about what's going to help us deal with these issues that we deal with and what we're going to do about it. Everything starts with an initial conversation. If you're going to be negative, stay home, because I don't want to be a part of that. It's going to be a lot of, everybody knows, everybody has their own story, and I get that. But we have to figure out how in the hell we're going to change community. Stop worrying about who's going to be the president. You're putting too much time in stuff that you can't control, and it ain't going to do nothing for you no way. By the time they make their laws and do their thing, by the time it reach you, it's already too late. Okay, they're never going to be they're never going to be in the corner of your block. So get out of that. What are you going to do here in this place? That's what I'm going to talk about. So, thank y'all for chiming in. I got to get ready to do some stuff. I'm working on my EP. It's going to be so hot. I'm working on some crazy stuff, man. I don't even know how to tell you it again. But anyway, challenge yourself again, as I always tell you. Let today be your first challenge, your initial challenge. Challenge yourself to be a better you today, in this moment, in this hour. Tell yourself you are worthy of change. You're worthy of good things. You are worthy of being happy. Tell yourself that your challenges are there, but your challenges don't make you who you are. It's just your walk. Get in your walk, put your shoes on, step out on faith, and make sure you push, push, push. Let nobody tell you you cannot. Only person in your way right in this moment is you. Nothing should be able to hold you back from what you're doing. This is what I tell myself every day. I tell myself I love me, I'm proud of me, I'm grateful for me, and I want y'all to start doing the same thing. The more you start doing it, the more it becomes habit, and then it leaks out, and everybody else get to feel the same thing. So make sure you challenge yourself every day to do what you need to do. That's more important. So I'm gonna sign off. Be back later. Sorry if I didn't answer your questions right, but let's talk about it. Let's get these group discussions together and let's make it happen. And I'll be back at y'all later some other time today. Much love to y'all. Y'all be blessed and all that good stuff. Don't forget to love yourself. Don't forget to hug yourself. Look in the mirror and tell yourself you're worthy, and tell yourself that you love yourself all day. You love the person that you are. And let's just move forward. All right? Holla at y'all soon. Peace.